Good day. My name's Graham. I'm just a really thick Yorkshireman down under, where now in summertime they used to roast turkeys and chickens, but in the name of saving the climate they roast old people instead. As they say, you have to be sacrificed to make room for the immigrants that are coming in, escaping the climate crisis they actually create themselves through bad farming and overindulging in promiscuous sex and lack of moral values, which makes lots and lots of children, which therefore diminishes their ability to support themselves. And that is an environmental crisis, but not necessarily one caused by climate so much as basically, well, you can make the judgment of why it is yourselves. The fact is, and the thing about the EU, which is very interesting at the moment, it hasn't gone long. How long it was the wall came down? What was it? 1989, 90? That's how long it took from the wall to came down to then implant Soviet-style rulership into Europe with a one-man, one-vote system. It didn't take long. It didn't take long for those people, so they such like the one-man, one-vote system. They were so keen to impose it on the rest of Europe and possibly the rest of the world if they were allowed to get their way. They rushed it through the European Parliament and voted for a man called Juncker, who was basically junking democracy as we speak, with his rapacious quest for total power over all humanity. Well, we watch these Doctor Who shows about Spectre and all stuff like that, so you do get these kind of lunatics raised out of somewhere, and in their own madness they've got a better idea for what's best for all the rest of the people. All the rest of the people compared with them would not have a clue what they really want. And all the rest of the people, according to the EU, are racist and hate speech if they love their own country, freedom and democracy, and they love their own nation and own society. They're hateful people. Yes, now it says hate speech if you don't want an invasion into your own country. That is hate speech. So in fact I suppose the English in the 1940s did not want the Germans to invade Britain. They must have been seen as that's now committed. If you look at it, let's try the British into the past, a crime against humanity committed by the English not wanting the Nazis to invade England because the British were being, well, was making hate speeches against Hitler. Now you're making an hate speech if you're patriotic and nationalistic and love your own people and society. You're making an hate speech if you're concerned about the invasion of immigrants from God knows where who may not fit in at all and may cause massive disruption to your society. Encouraged by whether she is Merkel, childless lady, maybe felt sorry for that young lady, appealed to her motherly instincts, it got overwhelmed her all of a sudden and her emotions went to her head, cancelled out all intelligent thoughts. She says, oh yes, if they're all like you, darling, you can all come in. Yes, they all must be like you, sweet little girl. Yes, yes. So they're rushing in, all of them, all these sweet little people rushing into Europe for a life of ease and leisure off the back of the European people. But that's, that's a very shortened version of what's happened since the wall came down. The wall came down, and like ISIS comes in with the refugees, what come in, with the where came in through the wall with the crowds and joined in with the rest of Germany and then infiltrated and basically said we'll have one man, one vote, better, because that's better. That's better way of doing things in their mind, of course. Now the thing is though, democracy and the feeling of nationalism and all that sort of thing is so strong, and this is the hypocrisy of the EU and the leaders. It's so strong they encourage other people to stick strongly by their own culture. Yes, you're proud to, you're different, we support your difference, we support differences and all that. But only in those people outside of Europe. They do not support the differences within Italians and Hungarians and English and French. That is squashed. Those sort of differences are now more natural differences created by thousands or hundreds of years of generating a way of being, a cultural way of being, now no longer relevant, squashed. You are hateful and you're full of hate speech if you stand up for what you actually know what you are. If you know you're Italian, you're making a hate speech if you say, I defend myself as Italian, I don't want to be invaded by lots of people who are not Italians. Same goes for the French and everything. They're making hate speech if they don't want to be invaded by lots of people that are not French. They're making hate speech. Now, if you love your country, you're making hate speech. Very odd now. Surely it's hateful to oppress the people who love their country and freedom and democracy. You quash freedom, you quash democracy and liberty. That is creating stresses and hateful. That is an hateful thing to do in itself. And there is, if you like, what it is, the agenda behind the EU and its masters in there are full of hate towards the average person in society. And this is why the EU itself is breaking down. They're inhuman, and they're putting on this inhuman ideology, if you like, onto the rest of society. Well, you can't be what nature made you. But those people, they're entitled to be what nature made them, and you're not to question anything we say. That, in other words, it's a dictatorship. It's a dictatorship. Now, what do the people do? The majority of the people in Europe are very soon waking up to the fact that they've suddenly got, not Adolf Hitler, etc., but only got a decade to go before it's in jackboots again and parading with an army against the European people itself, because they won't be going outside, they won't be strong enough. They won't be strong enough to go outside Europe, and they'll be ineffectual outside of its borders. So it has to be, seeing the EU army they dream of is to keep control of the people within the EU itself. But we've got to ask yourself this. Really, with technology and all that, do people of the rest of the countries really need the EU to have a common market? Surely the governments in all of this, once they can see their people are no longer wanting to be part of this dictatorship that Juncker now runs or wants to run, then the people, because one man, one vote is a dictatorship. There's no way of getting away from it. You can't deny it's a dictatorship. That's what it is. And then when they have secret committees, then that's a Soviet-style system. That's Stalin now. No getting away from it. We know our history. We're not all stupid. We can know there's plenty of books that anyone can read. I suppose we'll be book burning next, I suppose. And the thing is, the people of the Europeans, all the different divergent people, the diversity within Europe, they are smart enough to create their own common market without the Brussels bureaucrats. They've had markets for centuries. It's not new to learn how to trade with each other on a fair and equitable deals what allow real competition instead of protection from the privileged companies that the EU actually supports by its pretense that it's into trade and free markets and globalism, which is just really, it's not. It's into global controlism, but it's not actually into globalism as a free trade unit. What's the benefits of all people? Because actually, when you start protecting people, as we are in Australia, protecting all these corporates, or now corporate Marxists, if you like, getting protected energy, water, and all these other things that should belong to the people, enrich the people. Now they're enriching the rich, and basically that entity, that idea that the enriched are the privileged and entitled, and the rest of the people, well, you'll be lucky to get jam and bread at the end of the day. That needs to be taken on. And it can be taken on. The people are smart enough, the young people are smart enough and waking up the fact there's something deeply wrong and need to look at another system what limits the amount of power governments have, but then it has to reduce the amount of crime that is within the people itself. This is the principle of a moral democracy and social society, is to eliminate crime within society itself first of all. So then it's got the power within itself to cooperate within itself against these corporate entities which are now becoming like a monster re-emerging from a dark past. Whatever it is they worship, it's not a god that one wants to see as a deity, whatever it is. But there you go, the EU. How long since the wall came down? One man, one vote? Didn't take long, did it? Poof, blink of an eye. All that wall coming down. And now there's a wall inside Europe, inside the minds of the EU itself, in a private secret committee. And there's a wall around them. Eh? Amazing. Those who like living within walls shall then become prisoners to themselves, it would seem. While the young will run wild and free.